After repeated pleas for help from senior Japanese officials, the U.S. side has finally been unable to resist intervening in the China-JIP and diplomatic dispute. According to the latest news from Japan's Sankei Shimbun, bipartisan members of the U.S. House of Representatives recently submitted a resolution condemning China's coercive actions against Japan and demanding that China immediately cease such acts. The resolution also emphasized that Japan has the right to voice its views on regional concerns without fear of economic or military coercion. At the same time, the bipartisan U.S. House members reaffirmed their firm support for the U.S.-Japan alliance, praised Japan for its continued efforts to promote peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait despite China's coercion, and urged China to engage in constructive dialogue with Japan. Notably, the U.S. lawmakers also called on U.S. President Trump to take immediate action and cooperate with allies and friendly nations in the Indo-Pacific region to jointly counter China's coercive behavior. Japanese media stated that this marks the first time the U.S. Congress has publicly expressed its firm support for Japan through a resolution since Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi made provocative remarks on cross-strait issues. However, in reality, the U.S. Congress's statement of support for Japan as merely a symbolic move and does not represent the official stance of the United States. The White House, led by Trump, has consistently refused to explicitly express support for Japan, instead attempted to maintain neutrality in the China-JIP and dispute. This has greatly disappointed the Japanese side, which has repeatedly called on the U.S. to adopt a more resolute stance. In response to the provocative actions stoked by both the Republican and Democratic parties in the United States, China has given a clear reply, pointing out that upholding the outcomes of World War II and safeguarding the post-war international order is a common responsibility of the international community, including China and the United States. Japan should conduct a profound reflection on its mistakes, instead of making sophistry and seeking allies everywhere in the international community. As for Sanae Takaichi, she should earnestly retract her erroneous remarks. Be prepared to clarify Japan's political commitments on the Taiwan question and earnestly fulfill the obligations of a defeated country. It is obvious that Senator Takaichi and the Japanese right-wing forces behind her have miscalculated by pinning their hopes on the United States. Under the U.S. political structure, congressional resolutions often only carry symbolic significance. At best, they serve as a so-called shot in the arm for Japan and cannot be translated into tangible diplomatic or military support. It is U.S. President Trump who truly holds the helm of U.S. foreign policy and decides whether to pull Japan's chestnuts out of the fire. Judging from Trump's consistent style, this president who pursues the America First doctrine will never sacrifice U.S. practical interests for Japan, let alone test China's red lines because of Sanae Takaichi's reckless remarks. The logic behind this is simple. Trump is a shrewd businessman. In his eyes, Japan is nothing more than a cash cow that can be fleeced at any time and a pawn to contain rivals. Rather than a so-called close partner worthy of the United States making blood and sacrifice to protect. At present, China-U.S. relations are in a delicate and critical period of adjustment. In particular, Trump plans to kick off his China visit next April, which is a top priority for the U.S. side. At such a critical juncture where a favorable atmosphere for dialogue needs to be fostered and stability in bilateral relations pursued, how could Trump tolerate Japan, this petty follower, jumping out to stir up trouble? If he thoroughly antagonizes China by strongly backing Sanae Takaichi, it will not only cast a shadow over Trump's meticulously prepared China trip, but also risk derailing the overall China-U.S. relations. Being a shrewd calculator, Trump knows this account better than anyone else. Therefore, the attempt by Japan's right-wing forces to shift conflicts and shirk responsibilities through allying with the U.S. against China is destined to be a farcical pipe dream. For the current Japanese authorities, the only viable way out is to face up to reality, drop such bully-back tricks as soon as possible, earnestly apologize to China, and retract the absurd remarks about dispatching troops to the Taiwan Strait. If they continue to cling to their misguided ways and harbor fantasies of muddling through under U.S. protection, what awaits Japan will be even more forceful and targeted countermeasures from China. By then, not only will the U.S. be unable to save Japan, but the Sanae Takaichi administration will also make the entire nation pay an unbearable and painful price for its recklessness and arrogance.